Hello, everybody. Welcome to Azure introduction session. In this particular session, I'll introduce you guys to cloud computing and we will discuss about couple of services on Azure that we are going to learn throughout this particular course. Now, let's try and understand a simple definition for cloud computing, or let's say, what is cloud computing? A very good definition is that a cloud computing is a technology that allows users to access and utilize a shared pool of computing resources. Those computing resources could be servers, storage, database, networking, or it could be a software or any other service that could be accessed over internet. Let us understand this in detail with the help of a simple application deployment and what is that services that we require from application for an application deployment, and we will see how cloud is helping us in that process. Let me switch to my whiteboard here. Now let us try and understand first of all. Okay, forget about cloud for some time. Now let's say we have an application. This application, it could be a mobile application or it could be a web application. Now application means, in simple words, there will be couple of developers. These developers develop a code so that this code will help us to use this application or build the application. Now this application, let's say if it has to go live, like a website, if the website has to go live, let's say if the website has to look like this, then what we need to do, this application code, we need to put this application code on some kind of compute. Okay, now let us say I am creating a server. Let's say, first of all, let's understand there is something called a server. On this server, I'm putting this website code. Okay, so once I put this code on the server, now this application will be up. So that means users can put the web address in their browser and they'll be able to browse this particular application. Okay, now I have uh, told here very simply that we require a server, but if you just require one server, is that enough for a very big applications? No, that may not be enough. Let's say in that case we require, for example, four servers. Okay, in reality there will be a lot of servers, but I'm just taking for an example four servers. Now because there are four servers, we need to put them in a network. Okay, now all these servers, we need to connect to the network switches, right? So we need to have a network. Now if this there is one server, users can directly communicate with the server and website can be up. But now there are four servers, so users, if they want to access the website, where the request will go to? Server 1, server 2, server 3, or server 4? It cannot decide, right? So there should be somebody who should be guiding. Let's say there is another hardware called as load balancer. Now the user request, let's say if there are four users, okay, the user request, first it will land to the load balancer. Load balancer will balance the load between multiple servers which is there in an environment. Now let's say our application is having a sign up button, login button. Then obviously we need to capture the data in a kind of a database. So we have another component called as database connect to the network. Now let's say again there are different types of data that application requires. Let's say for example Instagram. Now we all load our photos into that, right? Can I store photos in the same database where I'm capturing my users information? May not be. I might require a different kind of storage for that. Okay, and this also has to be connected to a network. All right. Now these servers they will have IP address, let's say like 192.168.0.1. Okay, but can the users remember this IP address to open an application? They'll not be able to do that. Then we require another kind of service called as a DNS service. Okay. Now, what I want to make a statement is that if you want to build an application or make an application live, first of all, the code has to be built by the developers, and we need to create a complete infrastructure like this for the application to go live. And to build an infrastructure like this, which has servers, networks, database, storage, load balancer, autoscaler, and so many other components. It would approximately cost maybe around 20 crores to 40 crores, a very simple application. And now, this money that we have to spend even before our application has any customers. So, this is what? This is a capital investment, or you can say capex. This is capital investment even before the application is live. Well, that is okay. I have enough capital investment. I can make investment about 40 crores, 50 crores. That is not a problem. Now, let's say I have built this environment for, let's say, about 10,000 users or 10,000 customers. Now, let's say your application has become so viral that 10 million users have subscribed for your application. Can this infrastructure, whatever you build, can you scale up to support 10 million customers in a day? You can scale up, but it will take time. You need to order the servers, you need to order the networks, databases. The manufacturers has to build that. They have to ship to your data center. You need to connect to that to a network. You need to install OS, other softwares that are required for your application to run, and you need people to manage that. So that may take about 2 or 3 months of time. But you already have 10 million customers, but you're making them wait because you're taking time to scale up your infrastructure. Okay. Now these are some of the problems, in a traditional on-premises network. You need to put capital investment, you need to manage, you need to have people with the skill set that they can work on this infrastructure. Okay. And to scale up it is extremely costly, and there should be capacity planning once in a year. What is capacity planning? How many users you're forecasting? What is the storage that you should be prepared for? Okay, all these things you need to plan ahead and prepare your infrastructure. Okay, these are the some of the challenges. Now, what cloud service providers are giving us an option, or would say extremely super option? They're saying that capex zero. That means your capital investment is absolutely 0%. No need to invest anything. Now, what you need to deploy your application? Okay, you need infrastructure, right? What you require in the infrastructure? You require servers, you require networks, Do you require a database? Do you require a storage or a DNS service or a data warehouse? Or do you require some ETL tool? I have all these services. I created these services. I manage these services. You can take these services for rent. Now, if you say that you want a database only for one day, I'll charge you only for one day. If you want to use my DNS service, my storage, if you want to say, I want to use 10 GB storage today, okay, I will charge you only for 10 GB today. But let's say tomorrow, if you want to scale up to 100 GB, yes, you can scale up within seconds of time. Today, you build a database with 1 GB. Tomorrow, if you want to make it 1 TB, yes, you can scale up within minutes of time. So, with the cloud, these are the super options that we have. We can, without any investment, we can host our application. We can pay monthly charges, or the term that is used as pay as you go. All right. And not only the application deployment, capturing the application data, analyzing the application data, transforming the application data, all these services. That means there is hardware services, or let's say hardware as a service and software as a service. All these are available on cloud service provider. The major cloud service providers that we have in the market now, one is Azure. Okay, this is the cloud from Microsoft. Other one we have AWS, cloud from Amazon, and next cloud is GCP, which is from Google. Okay, these are widely used cloud service providers in the market. Now, all these three cloud service providers provides all the services that I've spoken, but with different names or different way of implementation. Okay, that is little bit about cloud introduction. Now let me show you guys the different services that is there on premises and the equivalent service on Azure. All right, let us go ahead and see that. Now, as I told you that all the resources that we can use, pay as you go basis. That means how much ever you use, we can pay for that, a monthly or yearly, however we decide, or whatever agreement that we have with the cloud service providers. Now, a couple of reasons why we should use cloud. One is resource optimization. We can optimally utilize, or we can say we'll get a better ROI if I use resource from the cloud. Business agility, that means faster, your applications can go to the market at a faster rate. We can have global reach. We can deploy the application anywhere globally with the help of cloud. If it is your on premises, let's say if your data center is somewhere in India, you should only deploy your application in India. But with cloud, sitting from your office, you can deploy your application anywhere across the world. Security is enhanced with the cloud by implementing encryption at rest, encryption in transit. Okay, there is encryption of your data, so you need to worry about the security. Now, there are three different cloud computing service models. One is called as infrastructure as a service. Second one is called as platform as a service. Third one is called as a software as a service. Now, we can also define cloud as cloud provides hardware or software that is required for your business or for your application to be deployed. Now, if you just want hardware, you can just choose a infrastructure as a service. If you want hardware plus some elements of software, then it is kind of a platform as a service. Now, if you don't want to develop any of your code, you want to use an application that is developed by the cloud service providers and pay a monthly subscription, then it is software as a service. Couple of examples like your Zoom, you pay a monthly subscription for that. That is a software as a service. Or else Office 365, that is a software as a service. So now if you see on the screen here, if you're just using hardware, that is nothing but infrastructure as a service. If you're using hardware plus OS, that means now let's say I'll go to Azure service provider and say that, hey, what, I have an application that is built on Python. See, this is my Python application code and this is my runtime. Can you please make this application up? Then Azure will give you a platform to host your Python application. You don't need to worry about which OS, how to install, what should be the server configuration, etc. etc. I mean, you can choose your server configuration if you want, but you don't need to worry about preparing a platform to host your applications. Azure will take care of it. That is called as platform as a service. The next one is called as software as a service. There are a lot of applications that Azure has developed that you can use those applications as a monthly subscription. In that case, you don't need to worry about your application code, your developers, nothing. You can just take the subscription of the software and you can start using it. Those are the three deployments we have. One is infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as a service. Infrastructure as a service offered virtualized computing resources like I told you we required something like infrastructure means hardware, like servers, storage, network. And how do you access this server or storage or network? Via internet. Okay, that is infrastructure as a service. Now, next we have something called as platform as a service. Now, what is platform as a service? PaaS provides a platform and tools for developers to build. They deploy and manage applications without worrying about infrastructure management. Okay, that is what the use of PaaS. And SaaS, I told you that SaaS delivers fully functional applications for internet that are accessible by web browsers. And without SaaS, users can use the software without installing or maintaining it. All the management responsibilities of that application lies with the service provider. Now, if you look into this slide, this makes more sense to us. Now, let's say everything which is there in yellow color is managed by the vendor. Which vendor? Cloud vendor. Okay, now if we say on premises, that means I have to build my own environment. So, what are these layers? These are the layers that you require your application to run. You require application code, application runtime, you require a middleware, operating system, and a virtualized environment. Below that, you require hardwares like server, storage, and network. Now, let's say I want to use Azure Cloud only as infrastructure as a service. Then I will tell Azure vendor, hey, you know what? I will manage this networking layer, storage layer, servers, and virtualization by myself. And can you please manage the rest of the layers for me? Azure will say, okay. So this kind of deployment is what? This is called as infrastructure as a service because user is letting Azure to manage all the hardware for it. Okay. Now let's say I am a .NET developer. I don't know about how to install OS, about middleware. I don't know anything about this. Then I will tell Azure, you know what? Do you have any service or do you have any? Can you create a platform for me that I will give my .NET code and I will give the runtime. Rest, can you please take care of for me? Azure says, okay, fine. I will take care of all these layers for you. You give me your application code and your runtime. Now, what is this? This is called as PaaS deployment, which is called as platform as a service. Now, I started a new company. I have around 10 employees. Okay, I don't want to create a chatbot, etc. I'll go to Azure and they'll say that, hey, do you know, can you give me a chatbot where I want internal communication between my employees? Azure says, okay, we have a service called as Office 365 that will allow your employees to communicate, exchange emails, etc. And what I'll say, okay, what is the monthly subscription? Monthly subscription is some X dollars. I will pay that X dollars to Azure and I can use that service. In that case, I no need to worry about any of these layers. Azure will take care of the complete ownership of managing and maintaining these layers. So what kind of service is that? That is called as software as a service. Now these are the three deployment models that we have, or three different types of service models. One is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Now there are three different types of deployment models also. One is called as public. In fact, there are four. One is called as public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and multi cloud. Here, the names itself will tell us public cloud means it is open for all. Private cloud means it is only open for one business or its subsidiaries. Hybrid means it is a mix of public and private. Multi-cloud means if I have an application with two layers, let's say web server is one layer, a database is another layer. I can have one layer on AWS, one layer on Azure. That is called as multi-cloud environments. Okay, as I told you, public cloud service is open for every individual. We can create an account and start using the services. Private, if you are authorized to use that particular private cloud, you'll be able to log in and use the services. Okay. Similarly, with hybrid, you can do a mix of private and public in a hybrid cloud. In a multi cloud, it will be combination of multiple cloud. Now let's see, if I have to host an application on premises, what all we require. First, we will see without cloud, and we will see how cloud is helping us to deploy an application on the cloud that are with the help of cloud services. Now let's say, first of all, if I want to create any deploy any application, I need to secure, right? For that, I need to create my own network. In the network, I need to create a virtual missions, or you can call them as servers. So if we have multiple layers, for a web server, couple of virtual missions, for app server, couple of virtual missions, and you need to have a relational database. These all are services that I'm telling you that we require to deploy an application, and the users can connect to the virtual mission, and they can browse the website, they can log in, sign up, everything. But what happens if this web server goes down? I need another web server, right, to make sure there is high redundancy. Now user will communicate with this virtual machine or with this virtual machine. How they will know? They cannot know, right? I need another layer here, like a load balancer layer. Now the user will communicate with the load balancer, and load balancer will distribute the traffic. That is another hardware. Now, how the users can come to know the IP address of this load balancer or the name of the load balancer? We need a DNS. DNS is a domain naming system. And application captures different types of data. It could be a structured data, it could be a unstructured data, or a semi-structured data. Now, for a structured data, we have a relational database. To capture semi-structured data, we have another type of database called as NoSQL database. And to capture unstructured data, we have, let's say, like media files like photos, movies, videos, audio files. All those are nothing but unstructured data. For that, we have another type of storage. And let's say on social media, I want to filter the data that users are giving comments about my content. Okay, then we need to have a content filter, and that has to be stored in a external storage. Now, to improve my business, I want to see if users are coming to my website, which page they are visiting, how much time they are on each page, did they go through any video which is there on the page, etc. I want to collect that all the data. All the data is called as clickstream data. So we can analyze the clickstream data by putting in some kind of storage and then creating a platform to analyze the data by using Spark or Hadoop. And once we analyze this data, which is there in data warehouse, we can generate reports by using BI. Now, if I want to put the data from NoSQL data also to Hadoop or Spark, we can do some ETL input. So clickstream data also coming to this platform. This no semi-structured data is also coming to this platform. And then I can put the data in external storage. And let's say some users want to access this from web browser, some users want to access this from mobile. I need to do some conversion of the format. Okay, and if users are there globally, I have to create some CDN network. And let's say if app server or web server going down, I want some notification. Okay, I want an email notification, and I want to configure a messaging queue or to monitor all these resources. How many are there? Virtual machines are there, databases are there, NoSQL database is there, storage is there, data warehouse is there. If any of this service is going down, I want to be notified. So for that, I need to create a dashboard. Now, even there is no cloud also, if you have to deploy an application, you need all this hardware, software. You require this, and you have to purchase the license of every software. You need to purchase every hardware. You need people to manage this, maintain this, configure this, all this hardware, and put the application on top of it. Now, what cloud is doing is it is eliminating all this. You don't need to purchase any of the hardware. You don't need to purchase any license. You don't need people to manage it, maintain it, or configuring it. Azure will do it for you. Okay, then what you need to do? You need to choose what is the service that you require to create this infrastructure on the cloud. Now let us look into that. To create the same infrastructure on Azure cloud, Azure gives them by what names? Let's say instead of private network, okay, Azure has something called as VNet. So if I choose or create a VNet on Azure, that means we are creating a private network. Now Azure has a, instead of virtual machine, the name of the virtual machine is here also, it is virtual machine. Okay, the name of the database is called as SQL database, which is a relational database, and memory cache is called as Redis. Load balancer, Azure gives the load balancer as a service. Azure DNS is a service which provides the DNS. Okay, to capture the NoSQL data, we have something called as Cosmos DB. Okay, to store the external data or unstructured data, we have blob storage. To filter the data, we have cognitive services. To capture the clickstream data, we have stream analytics and HD insights to build a Hadoop environment, and Synapse analytics to build a data warehouse, Power BI for the business intelligence, data catalog for ETL, or in case we also have something called as ADF. Okay, users can access through either through web or mobile. Okay, and data can be accessed from this blob for mobile, from this blob to the web browser. And finally, configure a CDN network. And we also have services to configure these particular notifications, like notification service, queue storage for queue, and Azure Monitor to monitor it. Okay, these are the set of services that Azure is giving to us. We can create an account with Azure, and within 3 4 days we can create this complete infrastructure to host the application. Now, as Azure administrator, we should be able to know how to create a virtual machine. What are the different types of virtual machines? How to configure a load balancer? How to create storage? How to work with SQL databases? How to configure? How to manage? How to take backup? How to work with a Hadoop platform? Create a data warehouse, connect that to a data. We need to know all this ecosystem for us to be qualified to work with Azure services or deploy an application on Azure. All right. Now let us see, as part of this course, what all topics that I'm going to cover in this particular session. Okay, these are the different topics that we're going to learn. We are going to introduce you to Azure Cloud Computing and Azure. Understand Azure infrastructure. That means there's something called as a region, zones, data centers, and we'll see how to create an Azure account. We'll understand and work with Azure virtual machines and do a lot of operations like taking a backup, snapshot, etc. And we will work with Azure VNet. We will do VNet operations. We'll work with load balancers, application gateway, Azure DNS, Azure virtual machine scale set, work with Azure storage and do a lot of storage daily operations, understand databases on Azure, and then we'll see how to monitor all these resources, how to give permissions with the help of Active Directory and RBAC, and we will see the security on Azure. After that, we will learn something called as IAC, which is infrastructure as code. On Azure, it is called as ARM templates. And we will see some migration strategies. And then we will see how to prepare for an interview for Azure. Okay. These are the different things that we are going to learn throughout this course. Okay. Once you finish with this, you'll be qualified to take an exam from Microsoft called as Azure Administrator. The exam code is AZ104. All right, guys. That's all I have for this session. Thank you for joining this session. You guys have a good time. Take care.